Hi Scott, I'm Blaze.
Hi Blaze.
How are you?
I'm good.
Thanks for talking to Hush Hush Biz.
My pleasure.
So just out of interest, you're American. What year did you move to Australia?
99.
Oh, okay, so you've been here for quite a while now.
Been here quite a while, permanent resident. Did not move here really for professional reasons. But I'm here and I'm happy to be here.
And we love it. Oh. So when did you realise that you wanted to do composing for a career?
I never actually really, I never really set out to do that. My mother had a piano in the house, was a doctor's daughter and had 10 years of piano lessons, so had to play, and I was fortunate to have a piano in the house. And would just pick up melodies and start making stuff up, and she, I guess, figured I better get the kids some lessons. Had about a year of piano lessons and couldn't go any further with that. She gave me a ukulele when I was 8.
That's
and
great.
My grandfather gave me a guitar when I was 10. So just started playing and making stuff up, probably out of laziness. I could have learned to read music, and I eventually learned to read music really well. But probably just learned stuff by ear and started just making stuff up, whether it's songs or, with chords and words and melody writing songs, or just picking out notes on the piano or the keyboard. So I never really set out to say become a composer, and actually people started asking me to write some music for them. Probably would have been instrumental score type stuff, would have been Paramount Pictures in the 80s. They asked me to do some stuff for special material, what they call special material. It's not actually the full-on score, but we need a piece here, we need a piece there. And then when it was done, they said, well, how do you want the credit to read? And I go, well, credit. And they go, well, music composed. I go, oh, okay, well, I guess whatever it says, original music by. And I used my middle name, Scott Lloyd Shelley, because Scott Shelley's that's how everybody knows me as a guitar player and as a session musician and a touring musician with a lot of people. So I just sort of fell into it, really. I enjoy doing it. It's always been fascinating, and I've always listened to scores and don't have a degree. When people ask about schooling, I say, well, I attended the Rock and Roll College of Obscure Knowledge and majored in sleep deprivation. So
Gotcha.
That's pretty accurate, actually. And found that I enjoyed it.
So with what you've worked on for Paramount, as you said before, you've worked on like some major films. You've worked on Top Gun, is that true?
Yeah, but I didn't do the score.
Yeah,
I did, again, special material. Here's an example. Peter Weir, who's a famous Australian director who's very, very, very successful and amazing. And I, strangely enough, was aware of The Last Wave in the 70s, which is one of his early movies. And I remember seeing that in the theater. I went to one of these little art houses in Hollywood and said, man, I love this movie. This guy's amazing. And years later, in the middle 80s, met him when he did Witness. And the guys at the music building at Paramount said, can you come down because Peter Weir's here, we need some help. It's Dr. Scott. So I go, okay. And he goes, well, we've got the rights to use the What a Wonderful World It Would Be, that Sam Cooke song, from the publisher, the guy who wrote the song, but we don't have the rights from the record company. So we need to do like a sound alike, because it's a critical little scene where Harrison Ford's in the barn with the Volkswagen and all that, turns on the radio. So we had to find a singer that could do that. And that's totally legal. They had the permission to use the song, but they didn't have the permission to use that recorded version of the song.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So we had to do what we call a sound alike. So we said, well, that's easy. And I'm already calling, who can sound like Sam Cooke? And the next thing he says, well, we've got this scene where he goes to this little club in the funky part of town, and they got the kid in the car, and they're trying to, so it's got to sound like a club and all that, but we need this in like a day and a half. And this is Peter Weir talking to me. I'm going, okay.
Okay, it's pressure, but it's done.
Yeah, it'll be done. So I got to go to work and stay up for 40 hours and get it done. So those are I want to say Dr. Scott, that's the kind of thing. But they know that I'll get it done and get it done right. He's happy, the movie's out. Most people don't know that was not Sam Cooke's version in that thing, and that weird little cue that's played in the club when they take the guy out of the club, and he says, "Is this the guy?" And he goes, "No, it's not." And the kid's shaking his head, So, and weird little things like that. They're basically helping people solve their problems, their music problems, their audio problems.
obviously you've done Crocodile Hunter as well.
That was funny.
I think that's amazing. Like, you were a part of something that is truly Australian. You are no longer American anymore.
Yeah. That was so much fun doing that. And again, like I said earlier, I didn't move to Australia for professional reasons. My wife at the time was from Sydney and decided to come home, and really quickly. And I landed here with no connections and down towards Byron Bay area, down that way. And I went, oh, this is great. I didn't even tell a lot of people that I'd left. And I'd sold all my guitar stuff, and I kept my little synthesizers and my computer, and that came over quickly. So I set that up in my mother-in-law's sewing room and said, okay, how do I get work? And I've never had an agent, ever. I'm American. I'm not afraid of shameless self-promotion. I think you need to be politely persistent, even especially now, and the older I get, I still have to be a little more persistent. Hopefully still polite. But I've got the Yellow Pages from Brisbane, and went through the Yellow Pages and said, okay, here's film and television production companies in Brisbane, the next major city from, Sydney's too far, Melbourne, who knows. And I knew nobody, but I could pick up a telephone, and I said, look, hi, this is Scott Lloyd Shelley. I've just moved from Los Angeles. I'm here, and can I send you my resume and my tape, and something comes up, I'm here, just down the road, and they go, yeah, got nothing to lose. Okay, so I got a call from John Stainton and said, Scott Shelley. He goes, yeah. He goes, just heard your tape. He goes, it's pretty good. Good stuff on here. He says, I got this little nature program, and I need about a half an hour's worth of music. And you're from Hollywood, right? I go, yeah. And he goes, you could bang one of these out in about a week. And I go, yeah. What kind of money are we talking about? and he gives me a figure, and I just went, ouch. And he said, well, it's cable. We're kind of, on a limited thing. And I said, okay, well, look, send it down. If I like it, I'll do the music. How's that? He goes, that's fair. So what's the address? And I popped it in, and there's Steve Irwin. And I had seen 3 shows in America, and it was just one of those, loving Australia to begin with, but man, it's just so entertaining and so watchable. It's
so typically Outback Australia, and he's just wrestling crocodiles, and it's great. It's great TV.
Just the hairs in the back of my neck. I just went, man, I have to do this. This would be so much fun to work on.
Did you enjoy working on it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And times I would just fall off my chair laughing because he was so funny and so entertaining. And I ended up doing, more than 80 episodes for him. So
what would you say, just to finish off, the highlights of your career?
Highlights of my career. Playing synthesizers with Boss Skaggs and coming to Australia for the first time in 1978, being in the backup band, that was great music, great tour.
Yeah.
Doing the music for Putt Putt Joins the Circus, which is humongous entertainment. It's a kid's title for 3 to 8 year olds. So at the time, I thought that was the highlight of my multimedia game.
How
career
fun,
thing.
yeah.
Oh, it was great. Oh, it's just come out again too. So if you know anybody with young kids, grab Putt Putt for the iPad. That was a highlight. Certainly Crocodile Hunter was a highlight.
Yeah.
Getting to meet some of the musicians I met over the years certainly was a real highlight. Getting to meet musicians in Los Angeles, in North Hollywood, like the guys in Toto, Steve Lukather, Jeff Porcaro. Steve Porcaro David Pates were big influences on me early on. Getting to meet Australian country artists like Tammy Kernaghan, and just amazing. There's just so much talent here. So, a lot of highlights, and hopefully more to come.
Hopefully. Cool. Well, thank you so much
My
for
pleasure.
meeting with me.
This has
Thanks
been
for
great.
taking the time.
Thanks, Blaze.